Power to the truth. This is Margo. This is Friday, April 26, 2019, 5:56 p.m. Pacific Time, United States of America. So we have NASA Worldview pulled up. This is upper or northern Mozambique, where they just had another cyclone hit. This was Cyclone Kenneth. And this is a month after, or less than a month after, Cyclone Idai hit further south. And it's hard to really see it in this view because of the blackout there. So if we look at it the day before, this is from yesterday. And here is where it was making landfall. And it was another really large storm. And I have an article I want to share. They've had some deaths, and there's going to be a lot of flooding and lots of problems. So here's what it's looking like right now. And so here's the article. I've got it in clean view right now because they have so many ads. Here's some of the damage. This is on Ebo Island. This says a man stands on fallen trees which damaged his home in Moroni, Comoros on Thursday, April 25th, after Cyclone Kenneth hit the island nation of Comoros. Here's what it looked like. So, this is from AccuWeather, and this is from today. Death toll rises in Mozambique after Cyclone Kenneth's historic landfall as flood fears remain. So, oh, that's Louisiana tornado. It's something. I mean, everywhere you look, that's just, my God, just looking at that is just awful. And this is what we are seeing and what we expect to see. Okay, up next, Cyclone Kenneth whips palm trees. So, let's see if that comes up. There it is. You see the palm tree there? See, that's all flooded. Okay, that's enough of the movies there. 3 people are dead in northern Mozambique after Cyclone Kenneth made a historic landfall late on Thursday. And flooding rain will put more lives and property in peril in the coming days. Kenneth is the first tropical cyclone with the equivalent of hurricane strength to strike Mozambique's northern province of Cabo Delgado since modern record-keeping began 60 years ago. According to the UN, the strike by Kenneth marked the first time in recorded history that Mozambique has been hit by 2 powerful cyclones in the same season. Last month, the central part of the country was slammed by Cyclone Idai, which resulted in hundreds of fatalities. The dangerous cyclone, meaning Kenneth, made landfall in Cabo Delgado, about 100 kilometers or 62 miles north of Pemba, at the end of the day on Thursday, local time. Kenneth had 10-minute maximum sustained winds of 200 kilometers per hour, or 124 miles per hour. the equivalent of a Category 4 hurricane in the Atlantic or eastern Pacific Oceans as it moved onshore. Meteo France. I wonder if that's supposed to be Metro. Anyway, Meteo France estimates a life-threatening storm surge of 3 to 5 meters or 10 to 16 feet occurred along the coast just south of landfall. The NOAA 20 satellite's visible infrared imaging radiometer suite captured on an ominous nightmare image of Kenneth making its way inland over Mozambique and then Tanzania. That looks awful. Red Cross teams in northern Mozambique are reporting serious damage in towns and communities that were struck by Kenneth on Thursday night. One woman was killed by a falling tree in Pemba. 2 other people were killed on Ebo Island. Prior to reaching Mozambique, Kenneth killed 3 people in the island nation of Comoros on Wednesday night. About 90% of homes, which were mostly made of mud, may have been destroyed in the main village on Ebo Island, Mozambique. Ebo is located near where Kenneth barreled on shore. Electricity was cut on Ebo Island, where many residents also lost cell phone service when the cyclone downed a tower. There are also reports of extensive damage to homes in Kisanga, according to the AP. 4 ships sank offshore of Palma, but everyone survived. Significant power outages plagued Pemba, where winds gusted to 70 kilometers per hour or 44 miles per hour before weather recording instruments stopped reporting. While its strong winds have dramatically weakened, Kenneth will crawl through northeastern Mozambique this weekend and continue to unleash downpours. More lives and property are at risk, as the heavy rain can trigger new or exacerbate ongoing flooding problems. A flooding disaster can unfold in Cabo Delgado, where Kenneth slammed on shore. Additional downpours into this weekend can push the AccuWeather local storm max to 600 millimeters or 24 inches. It's 2 feet of rain. The heavy rain can cause streams, rivers, and coastal waterways to flood neighboring land and communities. So these are the areas that are affected. This is a life-threatening situation, as the hardest hit areas can be put underwater. Those needing to be rescued may only be able to be reached by boat or helicopters. Flooding downpours from Kenneth can also stream into eastern parts of the Mozambique province of Nampula, as well as graze neighboring southern Tanzania. Muidumbi, Mukojo, Nakaroa, Montepuez, Pemba, and Nacala are among the communities facing flooding. All evacuation orders should be followed. Mudslides can be triggered and endanger those living on hillsides. A few thunderstorms can also rumble around Kenneth Center, which can further hinder rescue, recovery, and storm cleanup efforts. There it is, satellite image. Prior to Kenneth striking Mozambique, Reuters reports that around 30,000 people were evacuated to safer buildings such as schools. Aside from the storm damage, the greatest risk will immediately be from flooding due to heavy rains. Rivers within this region of Mozambique may flood, especially as at least one of the dams is already close to full capacity. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Preventing floodwater from being retained. This will make it almost impossible to distribute aid, as roads will become impassable. The areas affected by Kenneth were largely spared from any of former tropical cyclone Idai's destruction in March. Many locations in central Mozambique, including Beira, suffered catastrophic damage. Residents are still trying to rebuild and recover from tropical cyclone Idai more than a month after the storm's landfall. Kenneth first brought heavy rainfall to parts of Madagascar from Monday into Wednesday, and so on. Well, I'm almost done. Locations from Umbanja and Antsiranana to Andapa and Antalaha had drenching downpours and localized flooding. Rainfall totals of 50 to 100 millimeters or 2 to 4 inches were common, with 300 millimeters or 12 inches reported in Sambava. The cyclone then lashed the island nation of Comoros, killing 3 people. Several other people sustained injuries. Winds gusted to 120 kilometers per hour or 75 miles per hour at the Hahaya International Airport on Wednesday night. Rainfall totaled 225 millimeters or 8.86 inches. Streets across the island were littered with downed trees and debris from homes. The roofs of some homes were also ripped off. Widespread power outages occurred in the capital of Moroni. About 1,000 homes sustained flooding and key crops were destroyed. And that's the end of that article. So we need to pray for those people. That's awful. Now, the storm that came a day came further south. So this part where it's being flooded and where Kenneth is was not affected with a day. So that'll just make it that harder for Mozambique to come back. Now we're going to look at Greenland. Here's an article. This is from NBCnews.com. This is from the 24th. And the title is Greenland Ice Sheet is Now Shrinking So Fast It's a Bit Scary. Changes to the island's ice sheet could transform the entire planet, scientists say. A new study finds that Greenland's ice sheet has changed dramatically in the last 46 years. Greenland's ice sheet is melting 6 times faster than it was in the 1980s, and all that meltwater is directly raising sea levels. That's all according to a new study published April 22nd in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences that carefully reconstructs the behavior of the ice sheet in the decades before modern measurement tools became available. Scientists already knew that there was a lot more ice on Greenland in the 1970s and 1980s, and they've had precise measurements of the increase in melting since the 1990s. Now they know just how dramatically things have changed in the last 46 years. When you look at several decades, it's best to sit back in your chair before looking at the results, because it is a bit scary to see how fast it is changing. This is from Eric Rignot. He's a glaciologist from the University of California, Irvine, and co-author of the study. And here's a related article. The world's glaciers hold lots of nuclear fallout. So you got that to worry about too. Greenland is just one island, but its ice sheet has the potential to transform the entire planet. The Greenland ice sheet has existed for 2.4 million years and is 2.1 miles or 3.4 kilometers thick at its deepest point. The whole thing weighs about half as much as Earth's whole atmosphere, or 6 quintillion, or 6 with 18 zeros after it, pounds, or 2.7 quintillion kilograms. If it melted entirely, sea levels would rise by 24.3 feet, or 7.4 meters. In the 21st century, scientists use laser measurements of the height of the ice, measurements of the ice sheet's total gravity, and satellite photos to gauge changes in ice thickness. That's how they know that the sheet is melting 4 times faster now than it was in 2003. To extend that record further into the past, the researchers divided Greenland into 260 basins of ice, which they studied individually using a combination of direct measurements of ice changes in satellite photos and sophisticated computer models of ice behavior. They found that between 1972 and 1980, Greenland actually gained roughly 100 trillion pounds of ice per year. The real mass or loss they found started in the 1980s. Between 1980 and 1990, the inland lost in the ballpark of 112 trillion pounds of ice per year. Between 1990 and 2000, it lost about 90 trillion pounds per year. Then, in the 2000s, things dramatically accelerated. Between 2000 and 2010, Greenland lost about 412 trillion pounds of ice per year. Between 2010 and 2018, the ice sheet lost roughly 631 trillion pounds of ice per year. Those numbers make concrete what researchers and inhabitants of Greenland already knew, that the island is changing and its ancient glaciers are receding at an alarming rate. The dramatic uptick in ice loss in the past 2 decades coincides with a similar surge in atmospheric greenhouse gases and warming. As Life Science reported earlier this year, 9 of the 10 warmest winters on record have happened since 2005. What does this all mean for the future of the ice sheet, as well as global sea levels? As the IPCC concluded, that will depend primarily on what humans do next, which is they will continue to procreate, they will continue to pollute, they will continue to make more greenhouse gases, and therefore the Greenland ice sheet will continue to melt at an even faster rate. if we're here. If we're still here. Okay, now we can see what's going on the Greenland ice sheet. This is from National Snow and Ice Data Center, and here is them showing the loss of ice on the ice sheet. This kind of orangey color is where it's the surface is melting. Maybe we can get a larger view of that. This is from yesterday. This is the red-orange color is surface melt, so it's mainly along this edge right here on the east side, and then a little bit down here, a little bit further south. The white is no melting, and the gray is missing. I guess missing data. Number of melt days. Okay, you have to go by the chart depending on what color it is. Like this light blue is around 10, between 5 and 10 melt days. The dark aqua is around 20 melt days. This is since January. And it shows where it's melting up here and then further down, and all along the coast, and down here on the tippy point too. And here's a graph. Greenland melt extent 2019. So we're at the beginning here in April. This year is the red line showing melt percentage, and it's before that there was the blue line was 1981 to 2010, and it was flat, meaning no melting in April. So we're showing that in April it's already melted quite a bit more than it did before. And this is percentages, so this is 10%, so this is like 1 or 2% down here, I would imagine. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And so we can check this and see how Greenland, how their melting is doing. So there's that. And I have one more article, and we're going to talk a little about Oroville, the Oroville Dam situation, and then we're going to do our earthquake report. This was published today from Oroville News Live, from their blog. Oroville Operations and Main Spillway Update, April 26, 2019. Oroville's current reservoir elevation is 877 feet. Well, we can look and see what it is. Let's refresh this and get the latest. Get the 6 o'clock. The 6 o'clock numbers. The 6 o'clock numbers, or 1800 hours, is 878.47. I have to log that in. Alright. Go back to the article. So when they did the article, they were at 877 feet. Well, we were at 877 feet. We're over 877 all day today. We were at 877 as of 7 o'clock last night, 877.01. So, an increase, okay, so they're saying, as the time of their report, it's 877 feet, an increase of 10 feet from last week, and they're not worried. Total releases to the Feather River have also increased slightly to 10,500 CFS, or cubic feet per second. Oroville Operations Plan is designed to safely accommodate inflows from the above-average snowpack, and DWR is aiming to keep lake levels high through spring and summer. Currently, releases from the Hyatt Power Plant are adequate to meet operational requirements of the reservoir, and there is no need to use the main spillway at this time. However, we may need to use the main spillway again this year to manage inflows from increased snowmelt. DWR will notify the public and media of any planned use of the main spillway. The main spillway performed as designed when it was used April 2nd through April 10th, with releases topping out at 25,000 CFS. DWR engineers will continue to perform a thorough inspection of the main spillway to further evaluate its performance, and will continue to be visible on the spillway structure. Water currently seen on the spillway results from normal seepage through the spillway radial gates, which are not designed to be airtight. Sandbags are used to direct the flow of water to one side of the spillway or the other to allow for safe access by DWR engineers. DWR contractors have begun repaving operations on the Oroville Dam Crest Road, the spillway boat launch facility, and other area roadways. Paving construction vehicles will continue to use Hyatt Access Road through May 29th. Motorists and residents should anticipate additional construction traffic on Canyon Drive and on Oro Dam Boulevard, east to the Hyatt Access Road, Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We apologize for any inconvenience and will notify you if there are any changes. Thank you for your continued patience. So that's the official message from Oroville Dam. This is their update. Well, what I don't understand is why they're trying to keep the lake levels so high. It says, they're aiming to keep the lake levels high through spring and summer. Well, according to that report, that article I read from the Sacramento Bee, that I read a couple of days ago on my show, DWR was being reprimanded for keeping the lake level so high that if it's too high, then it can't accommodate any kind of massive flood that might happen. Plus, it keeps rising, and full pool is at, let me check my notes here, $728.1. Yeah, 728.1 feet is full pool. And we're at 8, right now we're at 878.47. And it's been speeding up with the snow melt. We can see it from the inflow. Here, let's go to our Excel file. It's a little easier to read from this. We can see just from the last few entries, this is every hour. From today, we can see that on this reading, it was up to 24,315 CFS. That was the inflow. And that was at the 4 o'clock reading. And it's been over 20,000 all day, ever since 7 o'clock this morning. And the outflow is under 10,000. All of these are under 10,000. So I don't know how they can get an average of 10,750 of outflow when you don't have an hourly reading of at least that. They're all less than that of an hourly reading. And we can go to earlier. Here it is, earlier today. And we can look at the Excel file. And you can see, here's the outflow for the whole, all the way back to 7 o'clock last night. On the 25th, it was all under 10,000 on the outflow. Here, the inflow, look at this one. At 6 o'clock this morning, the inflow was 23,278. Oh, and yesterday, from midnight to midnight, the level rose 1.48 feet. And today, so far, let me get my calculator and we'll see. We're at 878.47, and at midnight it was 877.3. So it's gone up a foot 1.17 feet since midnight. And you can also see that at certain hours it went up quite a bit. Like this one went up, where was it? Oh, let me close that. From 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Oh, I need to go to the latest. From 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, it went up 0.9 feet. Almost a tenth of a foot. In an hour, 0.9 feet. And most of the hours it went up between 0.5 and 0.7. On this last one, from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, it went up 0.8. 0.8 feet. So, you know, if we can keep from having a nervous breakdown watching this and, you know, putting up with these statements saying, oh, well, we know what we're doing and we want to keep the lake level high and this and that. It's like, well, fine. But I'm tired, and, you know, it just feels wrong. Oh, and there was something else. There was Okay, we're going to get into earthquakes in a second here. But remember I showed 2 earthquakes up here to the west of Oroville. Oh, this is interesting. This is okay. Yeah, they're playing games. Remember I showed 2 earthquakes over here yesterday. There was a 2.6 and a 1.5 or something. I've got it written down. It was a 2.6 and a 1.5, and they were 16 seconds apart. Remember I showed that on my show yesterday? Well, there was another earthquake that happened over here in this same area, and this is the Oroville Dam right here. And it was about, I can't remember if it was 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock last night, and it was a 1.5, and I didn't document it. I thought, oh, it'll be on there for my report tomorrow. Well, this morning I was looking at the earthquakes, and there was another one up here. It was a 2.0 right up here, and that happened at 12:12 this morning, right around midnight. And you can see that that's not on the map now, but at that point this morning around 10 o'clock it was showing 4 earthquakes right here. The 2 from my report yesterday, then the third one from last night, and then the one from 12:12 midnight. So it was showing 4, and then I went into the kitchen and did some cooking and stuff, and I came back 20 minutes later, and they were all gone except for one, the one from 12:12. And now we're coming to look, and that one is off the map. But I did record it, and hang on a second, I'm going to pull up the recording and I'm going to play that. So I'm going to stop this video, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this video and I'll insert what happened, my recording. It's about a 6-minute recording that I did this morning, and the 2.6 is still showing up on EMSC in Northern California. But if they're too small, they don't show up on EMSC. But there was no reason for them to take these earthquakes off. There's no reason whatsoever. But so it makes me wonder what's really going on. And the more things like this happen, and then these inane reports that come out saying, oh, we're aiming to keep the water level high. Well, you know, pretty soon it's going to be to the top. What are you going to do about it then? And you're having earthquakes, 4 earthquakes since 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, 4 earthquakes within 16 to 21 miles of this dam. Are you kidding me? Something is happening, and I'm kind of flipping out. And you know I'm empathic, and when I start picking up on stuff, I get obsessed. And I would say I'm obsessed with this, but it's an intense, and it's hard to describe the feeling, but I'm picking up that's about something about this area, and I just can't put my finger on it, but it has to do with this rising water level, the earthquakes that they're taking off the map. So I have to make a video whenever I see an earthquake show up over here. So I'm going to stop this recording right now, and then when I put the movie together, I'll put the put the 5 or 6 minute video in the middle, and then I'll pick up with the earthquake report. This is Friday morning, April 26, 2019, 10:19 a.m. Pacific Time, United States of America. I'm doing a short recording of this area where these earthquakes are coming in, not too far from the Oroville Dam. Last night in my video I showed 2 earthquakes that happened, one near Durham and one near Biggs, California. There was a 2.6 and a 1.5, and they came in within 16 seconds of each other at 4:47 p.m. yesterday afternoon. And now those are not on the map. This is for USGS, all magnitudes for the last 24 hours, and we can see that those 2 are not on the map. The only one that is on the map is this. It shows 1.9 up here, but when I click on it, it's a 2.0. Near Biggs, California, this came in at 12:12 this morning, 32.4 kilometers deep. But other than that, there was another one that came in, and they've taken it off the map. It came in last night. It was around, I can't remember, I didn't record it. It was after I did my show, and it was between, I think it was 9 o'clock, 7 or 9 o'clock last night, and it was another 1.5 down here in this area. I'm thinking, well, in the same area. It was, I can't remember the name of the town that it was at, but so at one point this morning there were 4 showing on the map in the last 24 hours, starting at after 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. So they should all still be on the map, but they're not. Now we only have 1 on the map, and so I'm logging these earthquakes along with the water levels over at the Oroville Dam, and it keeps rising. And right now the water level, the 10 o'clock reading was 877.95 feet. So it's going up. And they're not opening the spillway, and there's no word, no announcement, no nothing. And yesterday it went up 1.48 feet from midnight to midnight. And it's going up faster because the inflow was faster, because the snow was melting, because it's warmer over there and all this. And I just have to think that there's a cover-up going on. And so I'm going to try and do a search to see if these missing earthquakes are somewhere on USGS or somewhere else, but I'll see if I can find anything. But this is just really disturbing, and so every time I see an earthquake over here, I'm going to have to record it. I'm going to have to make a video and record it and say the time that I'm making the video, and then I've got a record of it, and I've got the coordinates down here. And I looked up all 4 when at one point when there were the 4 on the map. I went to Google Earth and found them all, and they were all within 16 to 21 miles of the dam. The Oroville Dam is right over here. There was one up here. It was kind of like northwest, and that was the one at Durham, I think. But anyway, this, I knew there was something wrong, and I just have a really bad feeling. I've got a very bad feeling for this whole situation. So I'm going to sign off for now. Peace out. Power to the truth. This is Margo. And I've got to go out and do things today, so we'll see if this one's on the map when I do my report tonight. God bless everyone. Take care. I'm back, and I looked on EMSC and I found the 2.6 that was taken off of USGS. Here it is. Happened, these are the same coordinates and everything, same time. Happened yesterday. The UTC time was 23:47 and 36 seconds. So this is it. And it was a 2.6 magnitude. They're calling it Northern California. Here are the coordinates, and I plugged it in a USGS. It's the same. I mean, I plugged it into Google Earth, and it's the same area. So this was at Biggs. This was considered Biggs, and the others are not over here on EMSC. I guess they weren't big enough to be picked up. So, because it was, I think it was a couple of 1.5s. So, there's that. I'm signing off for now. Peace out. So you can see from the video that I recorded this morning, and where I showed there was one earthquake that it was left on the map this morning, and it was near Biggs, right over here, right around this area to the west of Oroville Dam. And that happened at 12:12 this morning, and that should be on the map here, but it's not on the map because that's less than 24 hours ago, and we're looking at all magnitudes for worldwide for the last 24 hours. So obviously something is going on, and there are earthquakes that are appearing and then they disappear after a while. So I will have to, when I see them in this area, I will have to make a short video and keep it just in case they go away. So now let's start our earthquake report. We have USGS pulled up for all magnitudes here worldwide, and we're showing 300 earthquakes on the map. Of those, 34 are 2.5 magnitude or higher. So let's see what's about to come off the map. We got a 2.5 Puerto Rico at 8:20 last night. Okay, well, we've got plenty of time to start wherever we want. So I'm going to start right down here in the Panama region. Here's a 5.0 south of Panama that came in at 8:04 this morning, and right on the red line. And another huge disaster that could happen if we have an earthquake close enough. It could mess up the Panama Canal. That's right there, where ships go through to connect from the Pacific to the Atlantic. So there's that disaster that could happen. Alright, now here in South America, we got a 4.4 near Iquique, Chile at 11:56 this morning. 4.4 near El Aguilar, Argentina at 5:05 this morning, 216 kilometers deep. This first one was 111 kilometers deep. Then a 5.5 near Taital, Chile, or Taltal, Chile, at 11:22 last night. It looks like that's on the coast, right next to that red line. Coming on down, okay, here's one on this red line, a 4.6 Easter Island region at 3:09 this morning. Easter Island is over here, so it's to the west of Easter Island. Coming across the Pacific, we've got a 5.1 south of Fiji Islands at 12:10 this morning, and a 4.4 near Havalu, Tonga at 8:54 last night. This one was 251 kilometers deep. Next to Indonesia, here's a 4.6 near Dili, East Timor at 10 o'clock last night. Very deep, 523 kilometers deep. Now moving on up into the Philippines area, looks like we've got an event going on off the coast of the Philippines. This is the reporting station is General Luna, but it's to the northeast of this island. And here, so I'm just going to call them off at 5.2 at 10:27 last night, 5.0 at 11:04 last night. These are all Pacific time because that's my time zone. 5:03 at 1:04 this morning, 5.0 at 3:54 this morning, 4.8 at 12:11 this afternoon, 5.2 at 1:28 this afternoon, and a 4.8 at 2:22 this afternoon. So that's shaking right on that red line. Then here's one right on the land, a 4.4 near Tutubigan, Philippines. This came in at 5:52 this evening or this afternoon, 161 kilometers deep. Now that's probably not big enough to do any damage, but you would be able to feel that shaking. Here's one to the west of this northern island, 4.6 near Balatok, Philippines at 4:20 this afternoon. Then coming on up to Japan, this one just came in at 4.3 near Nami, Japan at 5:57 this afternoon. And here's Fukushima. So 4.3, it's not enough to do any damage, especially in the ocean. But it's just showing activity. Now let's see what happened on land over here. Here in China, so 4.3 near Zhengcheng, China at 10:19 this morning. Here's a 4.4 near Carlsberg Ridge. It's in the Arabian Basin and Arabian Sea, right on the red line at 12:35 this afternoon. Next, 4.2 near Kolale, Iran at 10:10 this morning. We've had three in the same place here near Greece. It's in the Mediterranean Sea, just to the east of Crete. And they're called, the reporting station is Carpathos. 4.4 at 2:16 this morning, 4.1 at 2:40 this afternoon, and a 4.1 at 2:53 this afternoon. all at the same place. So I think that's all of the international ones. Now let's go to all magnitudes. For Hawaii, we've got 7 here today. Going a little closer. We've got a 1.8 Mauna Loa at a minus 1.6 kilometer depth. 1.9, that's at Kilauea. Here's a 1.8 Kilauea, 1.9 Kilauea, 2.6 Pahala, 1.1 Volcano. Well, it's actually in between Mauna Loa and Kilauea, and 2.4 at Mauna Loa. So the 2.6 was the highest one, and then the 2.4. So that's still showing activity there. Now, looking at the Dominican Republic, we've got 9 here today. I'll call them off. 1.8, 2.5, 2.6, 2.4, 2.5, 1.9, 3.0, 1.1, and 1.3. So those weren't big enough to do any damage, it's just showing activity. Now let's come on up to Alaska, and we're seeing 96 here today. Now they average between 50 and 100 a day, so we've only got 2 that are 2.5 magnitude or higher. So this one down here, a 3.6, is near Akutan. That came in at 8:31 this morning, and then a 2.7 near Tok at 5:54 this afternoon. At the surface, 0 kilometer depth. So the rest of these are going to be small earthquakes, so lots of clusters. We can see a cluster of 4 right here on Adak, near Adak, and they're small, 0.1, minus 0.2, 0.8, minus 0.9. Here was that 3.6, we saw that. And now we're seeing the small ones coming on up. Here's the Cook Inlet. Redoubt Volcano is right over here. Here is Anchorage. Not very many at Anchorage here. There's a 2.4 Big Lake. That's one of the larger dots. But we can see the movement kind of spreading out. And rather than it just kind of clustering up here and there, it's more uniform and spreading out. Just by looking at it, that's how it looks to me. And we got movement up here at Koktovik. Let's see how many are at Kobuk. We've got 30 here at Kobuk today, and quite a few are still at 0 kilometer depth, so at the surface. And they do a lot of mining up there, so it's probably from mining activity. But these are all low 1s to mid 1s range, and under 1. So there's that. Now let's come on down. Oh, look at this one right on the line. A 1.4 near Circle, Alaska. Here's another one on state line, 1.4 Cape Yakataga, and then we've got a couple right down there. So now let's come on down to the lower 48 and see what we can see. the east side of the United States looks pretty quiet. Here we go at Caldwell, Kansas, a 1.9. This happened at 10:47 last night. Now coming on over to the west side. In Utah, we've got 8 here today. We've got, this is a 0.7 near Summit Park. Here's a 1.2 near Helper. And the rest of these are at Farron, right here. They're all stacked up there. So there are 6 stacked up at Farron, and I'll call them off: 1.9, 2.1, 1.8, 1.6, 1.6, 1.3. So these came in starting at 7:54 last night. Oh, they were spaced out. The last one came in at, no, they were, okay, the last one came in at 10:37. So 7:54 to 10:37. So about 3 hour span, all those came in. Now, let's look at the Yellowstone region. We've got, let's see, we've got a 2.2 near Lima, Montana at 11:55 last night. Now let's come on over to the Pacific Northwest. I do not have my tremors map pulled up. I'm going to pause this and get that. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. So here's the real-time tremor map. In the last 3 hours, they've only had 3. And so let's see, in the last 12 hours, they've had, it's really slowed down, 1.3 hours of tremors. And look how it's moved down here by Medford. So they tend to move. They don't go shaking all at the same place all at once. In the last 24 hours, we've had 5.3 hours. The majority of them near Portland, and then by Medford. So we've got 2 earthquakes up here in Washington. We've got a 0.2 near Royal City and a 0.4 near Morton, and nothing reported in Oregon. And let's see, that Juan de Fuca plate is clear today. So we've got, let's see what we've got in Northern California, minus the one that was down here near Oroville. That's still freaking me out. So we've got a 1.9 French Gulch, California, 1.2 Millville, and a 1.3 Bernie. Now let's come on over to the Reno area. We've got a minus 0.4 and a 0.5 near Truckee. Here's a minus 0.3 near Cold Springs. Here's a 1.2 magnitude explosion near Gabbs, Nevada at 12:35 this afternoon. And then coming on down, here's Hawthorne or Walker Lake. Got a couple there, and some more peppered around at Hawthorne and Tonopah. Then here's southern Nevada with 13. These are small. They're calling them all near Beatty. The largest one, it looks like, is this 2.1. The rest of them are under 1. So I think that's all in Nevada. Now let's come back over to California. Just an overview. Look at all of them lined up on the San Andreas fault line. I mean, they're just lined up there. We're going to start at the geysers. We've got 43 here today. Now let's see if we have anything 2.5 magnitude or higher here. Anderson Springs, that's near the geysers. And a 3.0 near Bodie. And a 2.6 thousand Palms. So this was a 2.5 Anderson Springs. Alright. So that 2.5 is somewhere in the middle there of 43 at the geysers. Most of them are under 1. Here it is, 2.5 Anderson Springs. That happened at 7:40 this morning. Coming on down this west side, we've got a quarry blast 1.4 magnitude near Loyola at 11:04 this morning. 1.2 Morgan Hill, 1.4 Gilroy, 1.2 San Juan Bautista, 1.1 Parkfield, and then we've got 2 here at Kalami, a 0.8 and a 0.9 at Kalami. Coming on down, here's a 2.1 near Maricopa, 1.6 Vandenberg Village, because that's near the Air Force Base. We saw that. Look at all these. Here's a 0.8 Bodfish, 1.1 magnitude quarry blast Mojave, 1.2 magnitude quarry blast Mojave. So they blasted twice down there. Once wasn't enough. Now coming into Southern California, Baja is clear. We're seeing 51 on the map today, so that's an uptick. And so it doesn't look like 51 just looking at it. So that means we've got some clusters. Like right here is a cluster of 10 at 1,000 Palms. Here was that 2.6. That was the highest one. But they're all clustered. They're stacked up all at the same place. And 1.4, 2.0. So these started, the 1.4 was at 7:43 last night. Then this 2.0 was at 8:58 this morning. 2.1, 1.7, 1.4, 1.3, 1.0, 1.4, 2.6, and 0.7. That was at 2:50 this afternoon. And then we've got this cluster here at Kauai. We've got 25 here today. So that's more than we've been seeing here in a long time. And these are small. These are under ones. Majority of them. What's right here? 1.4 Redlands. 0.6 Redlands. What's this one? 2.1 Heber. So, oh, we got to do the east side. coming up this east side of California. Okay, I saw this one. That was at Bodfish, 0.8. Now, here's at Coso Junction area. We've got 11 here today. And they're ones and under. They're all small, and not any of them are a negative depth. So 13. So let's move on up. Okay, here is Mammoth Lake and the Long Valley Caldera. There are 9 here today. They're small. Looks like the largest is a 1.7 near Round Valley down here. What's this one? 3.0 near Bodie. Alright, I think that's a wrap. Let's zoom out and see what else might have happened since I started recording. We saw the one at Nami, Japan, the 4.3. We saw Tok, Alaska. We saw the Philippines. We saw Greece. We saw Philippines. Okay, that's a wrap. So I will keep reporting as long as I'm able to on everything that I can, but especially this Oroville situation. So time is so short, folks. It is so short, and this is the time of the revealing, the apocalypse. There are a couple of different meanings for apocalypse. The original meaning means to reveal what's hidden. That comes from the Greek. And we are seeing that. We are seeing many things coming to light that have been hidden from us by the dark side. But in the end days, everything will be shown to us. And the purpose of that is so that we can make a choice as to which side we want to be on. Because we do have free will that way. And if you don't consciously make a choice, if you don't, you're going to go down by default with the dark side. So, time is short. I recommend everyone get your spiritual houses in order. So until next time, God bless, go in peace, and good night.